For a closer look, we get to our panel. Nithin Umapathi, Senior Economist for the World Bank, Social Protection and Labor and Global Practice, and also Haiyan Wang, a Managing Partner at the China-India Institute. To both of you, welcome to the show. Nithin, let me start with you. You have worked on this report and a number of these studies, and I get how serious this all is, but it doesn't seem like we've got any great solutions out there.
So I think what's notable about this event that is already happening in many countries in East Asia Pacific is it's so different from what the Western experience has been so far. Because Western experience took about 75 to 100 years for society to age, whereas East Asia is going to do it in 20, 25 years. So it's going to have an impact on pension systems, healthcare systems, long-term care systems, education, the trade-offs between investments for young and old. That's why it's very serious.
And you have to worry that they're just not ready to handle that huge change in such a short period of time. And we'll get to China here, but are they ready for this?
Ready or not, they have to be ready. And I think that this aging bomb is exploding, and I think the central government is not taking it lightly. If you look at a lot of the policies that have been addressed in the third plenum of the 18th Congress, is addressing the social welfare systems, addressing the healthcare reform, addressing the hukou, addressing the one-child policy, relaxing the one-child policies. It is a very tough challenge, just as my co-panelist has said, that China is becoming old before it becomes rich.
Help us understand this one-child policy. I've heard a number of explanations on it. I know it's being somewhat loosened, but at the same time, the impact is already here. You can't reverse what's already been done.
You cannot reverse it, and unfortunately, even the one-child policy being relaxed, meaning that now families are allowed to have 2 kids if at least one of the parents is a single child. Even though the policy has been relaxed, people are not reacting as much. We're not seeing that the urban young couples eager to produce. So fertility rate is still lower than the replacement rate.
And we heard that from Martin's story that you can have unlimited children, but more and more people are choosing simply not to have children because they'd rather go to work or do other things with their time. And it used to be we were worried about overpopulation of the globe, and now we're worried that they're not having enough kids. Is this not odd?
I think we shouldn't be too alarmist, because to put it into context, the children today are far more educated, are far more endowed, which means that if you compare the burden of managing, plowing fields and then managing for your welfare of your parents, that burden could be much easier in today's world and also in the future.
It's because there's an expectation that the kids will basically help cover some of the costs. But then we get to the rising cost of course, healthcare, and it's not just the U.S. and Europe, it's also Asia as well.
Indeed.
You think about nursing homes, you think about the medical care that's necessary as people continue to extend their lives. The government's role in all this. A lot of people are pointing to the government, and in other parts of the world, we have personal finances, you have your corporate practices, and you have government. What's the right mix?
I think that the right mix should be, private and public, and perhaps in a society like China, more picked up by the public, because the large populations, the population of rural populations. So such a significant percentage of the population would not have the corporate-sponsored insurance systems. And talking about the impact of the aging population, it also comes at a time when China's economy is slowing down. So economy's growth coming from the growth in labor force, and that shrinking labor force would take out about directly a 0.5%, 1.5% out of the GDP growth, and the indirect slowing down, and would take another, say, 1%. That is adding to the complex nature of China's economic slowing down.
Nithin, very quickly, if there's one thing you could recommend to governments in Asia in terms of things they can do, what would that be?
First of all, they need to reconsider migration. I think that migration has tremendous potential in Asia because there are a lot of young countries in this region, so there's a lot of diversity. You have Japan and you also have Philippines, so there's a lot of scope for that. But also I think they have to consider long-term care measures. They cannot replicate the experience of the West, because simply that's not going to be sustainable with this scale of aging and the pace of aging.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing we've learned so far, is that the scale is just on something that we've honestly never seen before. Nithin, thank you very much for joining us, and congratulations on an excellent work on the report. Haiyan, please stay with us. We're going to talk about Europe next. Quick